bro. I love it.
I started a podcast all about talking to great real estate agents here at EXP. Good
Awesome.
morning, everybody.
Sammy, how you doing, brother?
Hey, I'm doing great. Good to see you.
Good to see you too, pal.
So we are at our 9 o'clock hour for our Power 30 course. As you guys know, we've concentrated a lot of our interviews on agents, but every now and then we get a big shot in the EXP corporate world that's going to come out and bless us with some inside scoop on what's happening, latest and greatest. And this morning, proud to have Sam Rodriguez with us. You're like VP of growth and international expansion and right. Every time I turn around, it looks like they add something to your job title. So give a brief introduction of yourself, Sam.
Sure. Hey, good morning, everybody. Sam Rodriguez. As Joe mentioned, I'm the Vice President of U.S. Growth and International Expansion. I've been here with EXP now for 3.5 years. Greatest 3.5 years of my 21-year career. Just before EXP, went independent, got tired of building up everybody else's companies. I had been Coldwell Banker, I had been Keller Williams, was Remax for a short stint, been with 2 different luxury boutiques. So a couple of these companies we started from scratch, and all great companies, great agents, great ownership. But I finally had the itch to do my own thing, and timing had it that we actually learned about EXP while we were opening our office. Saw Gene Frederick make the move, and we Googled the EXP, and back then it was 300 agents in Seattle, Washington, and we went, little tech company, big deal. I don't know what Gene's thinking, and that was it. I didn't call him. I left it alone. We launched, and about 2 years later, EXP came knocking, and the rest was history. I ended up, me and my co-founder, co-owner, actually walked away from our ownership and our own company. We brought about 5 agents each with us and left the rest of the company, walked away from it to join EXP. Definitely worth it.
What a whirlwind tour. I love it, man. That's definitely a story. I like how you reference when you see Gene move over, and then you're like, yeah.
We were like small potatoes. I was like, my old KW office is bigger than that. I don't know what he's up to. He's getting into the tech world, I thought.
Right, he's losing it, right?
Yeah.
And slowly but surely, you're marching right behind, walking from your own company. So you have been, the 3.5, I think you said 3.5 years now, right?
Yep.
So in the 3.5 years you've been doing this, you have literally seatbelted yourself to a rocket ship.
It's exactly it. I actually call the light switch moment October 2017, because prior to that, I joined in February 17, and we still had to recruit. We still had to beg people to join the company for a bit there. But 2017 October, we announced 5,000 agents at EXPCon, and to me, that was the light switch moment. It's never stopped since. Teams, brokerages, like they're beating down the door now. Like they wanted the appointments. So everything shifted right at that moment.
No, that's outstanding. So what's been what's the biggest challenge that you're dealing with day to day right now? You got rapid growth at every turn. Obviously for all of us, and I'm just going to plug this in, complete gratitude from those of us that are on the street helping people buy and sell real estate during the COVID shutdown. My operations manager put it perfectly when 2 weeks after I said, how are things going on the back end? And she's like, we haven't skipped a beat. So kudos to you and everybody on the team that's put it together. But what's the biggest challenge? What's the biggest things you're dealing with right now?
I'd say it is exactly that. It's we just, growth has happened at such an exponential rate. No other company in the history has ever grown this way. So it's tough. Yeah, there's some hiccups at times. Sure. What we lived through a couple of years ago in onboarding is not what the same experience today. So, the beauty of this has always been, how do we build this? How do we fix it for 50,000 agents, 100,000 agents? Not how do we fix it for now? Because that you just gonna end up right in the same spot. So, rapid rate and growth. And you're right, we haven't skipped a beat. Even through coronavirus, we saw 1 week of a dip in numbers, and we were like, is this? We better be ready. But then the numbers shot right back up again, and at the same time, even when we saw a dip, the quality of the agents, which has always been my favorite thing. I look at the rock stars on this call here right now. all these names, the quality of the agents and my calls every day it's not changed. When the numbers dipped in agents joining, the quality of the people didn't go down with it. It actually stayed the same. There's not a day that goes by that I probably speak to a $50 million producer at least once a day.
So we've got, I mean, obviously that is great news. The reality is I think that's one of the things that attracted a number of us as you start looking around and saying, you know, really the best of the best in the industry are making the move. So there's got to be a secret here that I need to know about. So obviously with that trend continuing, what are the things as agents from your viewpoint that, you know, maybe we can capitalize on more that maybe we're not utilizing enough?
I would say the brokerage discussions, because right now they need all of us more than ever before. You know, brokerages, again, depending on their model, depending on whether or not they have any ancillary services. If they don't have any services, they're really struggling. Being a real estate broker is not it's not a get rich quick scheme by any means. If they don't have title, escrow, mortgage, and services like that, they're struggling. And even if they do have them, they might still be struggling. So I think it's taking advantage of that opportunity because it's, as I mentioned, I was independent myself before EXP. I've never met yet the broker who says, I like that risk, responsibility, and liability. And so that's actually one of my leading statements with a potential broker owner for EXP is, what does it look like if you got to keep your brand and not have the risk, responsibility, and liability? You know, would that be something of interest to you? And I make that statement because that's what got our attention. We were only 18 months old at the point when EXP came knocking, and we were still going, it's our brand and we're new and we like our colors and our logo, and we're all about ourselves, right? Ego is the first thing that's got to be removed there. But the more they kept saying, well, you can keep that, and we're going, we can? Like, tell me more. What's the catch? This sounds too good to be true. So if anything, it's at least getting the at bat. I actually just drove, since I know there's a lot of people in Vegas here. I just drove down the street 2 days ago, and I noticed a broker that I've met with some other agents, and I noticed a for lease sign on his building. So again, that's those opportunities that are out there. So I reached out to the agent and I said, hey, have you been in touch with this guy? Because his building is now vacant. So again, just being there as a resource for support.
So I think you bring up an excellent point. You know, a lot of agents will spend times, you know, we're talking recruiting and attracting agents into EXP. A lot of agents, you know, will think, well, I can go help this new agent or this one-off agent. And yet there are small, independent, I'll call them boutique brokerages out there that are good agents. Like they didn't go leaping into that in many cases on a lark. They were frustrated with, you know, the traditional model. So they said, I'm going to break out and do my own. And then as they march down that road, they start realizing, hey, this is not really all it's cracked up to be. And Sam, as you were telling your story, I'm with you 100% because, you know, I was 18 years with Coldwell Banker and then launched my own brand for 5 years. And the freedom that comes with being EXP, like the liability, the worry, the things that used to keep me up at night are gone. And then to your point on the lease, the for lease on the other private brokerage, this model, like, you know, you can work from anywhere. And our benefit of having the Regis office to be able to use, and in Vegas, there's 11 locations in town. So you're not too far from any area that you need. Yeah. So with that being said, what other things do you think, you know, from a perspective of how we can support growth, what are some other things that we can really focus on? I get the small brokerage. I love it. If you have an approach there, I'd love to hear it. Anything along that line.
Well, I'd say aside from, I mean, again, the franchise owners are also making the move over, except that's a little bit of a touchier subject on those discussions. So happy to chat about that part as well. But I think the thing that's also, you know, EXP's decided to take advantage of, instead of taking our foot off the gas pedal for international expansion, we're now deciding to take advantage of the situation. Other countries have actually handled COVID better than the US now. And so having the addition of Michael Valdez joining the team and his experience, I think that's opening up the numerous opportunities now, and for us to take a different approach now to international expansion. Jason and I, we're still learning as we go. But Michael brings, again, 15 years of experience under the Realty umbrella, opening up many other different brands. So being able to see how quickly we can launch some of our other international opportunities, kind of in a phase 1 launch.
Okay, I like that. I mean, so obviously for anybody here that has relationships globally, opportunity to open that door. And then for anybody else that's on the call, I should have announced this in the beginning, apologies. We do have a chat feature. So while you're listening to the interview, if there's a question that you have or something that you'd like to have me ask on deeper, like a question within the question, feel free to type that into the chat and I will definitely roll that in. So Sam, 3.5 years, the company, when you first saw it was 300, you scoffed at that. You moved over, and then I think you said when it hit 5,000, was that October of 17?
October 2017, yeah.
Okay. And so where is the company at right now in terms of agent count?
So we announced 30,000 agents. I mean, it blows my mind. We all knew we'd be here. I just don't think any of us thought we'd be here as fast. So it was no doubt, I think, the intention. Now, how quickly do we get to 50,000? When do we get to 100,000? Brent Grove will say we're going to be a million agents. And global opportunity, I have no doubt that is as large as the opportunity is, for sure.
That's outstanding. Well, we have a question that came in from Cody. He asked, can you elaborate a bit on the changes that have been made to improve the onboarding process? Because with the volume of people you have coming on, that's always a question that comes up. So bring us up on the latest and greatest on that.
So we've got, we're always changing, right? That's the one thing Glenn has always made, a statement he stuck with me about 2 years ago. He said, this company's always going to be in beta. So that means we're constantly reshuffling. We're constantly, considering reorganizations for the best, what's with the agent's best interest at heart. So transitions, I mean, it was, I think the main thing was, and I think all of us agree that you gain a client for life, or you lose them at any point during the pre-onboarding or even within their first 30 days. At that point, an agent is most vulnerable. They're either going to scratch their head and go, did I make the wrong decision? Or, man, this was the best decision I've ever made. And I think it's a little bit different here at EXP, which is why, because we're all stakeholders in this company. So even though some of us may have gone through maybe a bumpier transition, the fact that we're stakeholders, I think really changes anything throughout the company that might need improvement. The onboarding was a major part of it. And one of the major shifts that we made a little over a year ago is kind of bringing everything down to a state level. So having state teams, if you will, from payment processing to broker team and transitions, that they know that state and really cohesively do work as one unit. When it comes to onboarding, if it is an individual agent, but even more so with teams and brokerages, those three departments, probably more important than any of the others at that time, are the transition team. And so everybody plays their part in that. And, the goal is to make it as seamless as possible. I will report one outstanding number. The fastest we've onboarded an individual agent so far has been 27 minutes from start to finish. So that's amazing. When I think maybe Bill, some of you guys might remember, it would take 27 days sometimes. Different time for sure.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that's what you call hitting the sweet spot. And for everybody listening, let's not hold that standard of 27 minutes here.
And I can say though that it still can be as quick. And the reason why that was the case is because the agent needed to onboard. They had deals to write that evening. So I've seen our state teams jump. I mean, this was just not even 10 days ago. I saw it was a Friday at, I think it was probably almost 5 o'clock. And this team reached out and said, we got an agent. They got to take a listing tonight. What can we do? And I thought our team was going to say, oh, we're going to have to wait till Monday. Our broker team, the onboarding team, everybody jumped right in and said, what's her name? We're on it. We see their application. we're gonna get this done. And by Saturday morning, it was totally done, like totally active in the system, but the license transferred that evening. So
Man,
really cool to see that.
ready to take listings Saturday morning. I know Cody also has a couple of additional questions on some of the onboarding. Cody, jump in.
Yeah. Hey, Sam. We don't need to get too much down into the weeds on this, but I can tell you for sure the process is much better than it used to be. So thank you for that. I mean, I've had some people that I've told them, it should probably be roughly a week to get you all onboarded, and they contact me back like literally the next day and they say, I'm all in. And I'm like,
Awesome.
whoa, that was crazy. So the only part of it that I'm still a little bit like, it's still a little bit of friction is just knowing what the process is to tell the person what to expect. So like, I even had a case where a person was frustrated because it was sooner than they thought because I had given them the wrong expectation about the timing of those things. So does EXP have something that kind of says this is what you should tell the new agents to expect?
We have had like checklists and kind of that next step expectations. Like I said, sometimes things change and can change frequently. So are they always up to date? Not entirely. We need to do a better job on that of ourselves. But I do agree. I think, Cody, you make the great point of it's setting expectations on the front end. We had a good problem where we onboarded an agent too quick, right? Is that such a thing?
Yeah.
They weren't ready.
Yeah.
So it is setting that expectation. So I always tell them, look, we can process it as soon as it comes in, or if there's a target day and time, even that you'd let us know once you've had your discussion with your broker, soon to be former broker. Then if that's the time you're looking to transition, letting us know, letting the state team know, because that way there's no transitions prior to that expectation.
So what is maybe the 20-second explanation that we should be giving? So kind of like right now, what I say is you're going to fill out the application and the ICA at the same time. That has to get reviewed. I honestly, I don't know who reviews that, but I just tell them it has to get reviewed. Can you just give us that quick little 20-second of what we should say to people so they have the right expectations?
Yeah, I think that's exactly it is I think one, either setting an expectation, even I'm not even opposed to doing a Zoom and doing the application right on the screen with them, because I walked through the whole presentation myself recently. And so if I'm hitting the wrong buttons, or if I don't know if I'm complete, then maybe sometimes the agents may not. And so it was a big learning experience for us to walk through that. So there are going to be some more changes for the better. One of them obviously was putting the ICA and application all into one, but that also is in setting that expectation, letting them know once they finish that first half, that's the application. The second half of that, because sometimes they click out of there, is the actual ICA. So if they don't get confirmation that it's completed, and you're right, there is an approval process after that. We're just checking on that. The way I explain it is the state broker team just checking to make sure you have an active license, and just two, there's no marks against it. And that's it. I was like, and it's
once the license is transferred, what is the first thing they should be watching for?
So there's this is probably the part where we'd love to see more streamlined. There are a ton of emails, and so when we do the NPS scores, we hear agents who say the communication was great, and they emailed me, and they I was always I knew everything that was going on. We also get this other NPS scores where they say it was too many emails, right? Too much communication. So I think there's going to be a happy medium, but again, we're working toward that. So, and again, it depends on too the personality styles. I as a high I and D, I don't read contracts myself. I've bought homes and cars without reading the contracts. I know a lot of our agents are doing the same thing. So it's that person's not. They're just going to click as fast as they can to get through the application. I get it, but yeah, maybe slowing it down just enough to make sure they're putting the proper information. Because that's what also can hold up an application is if it's either incomplete, or again, I've had one situation where it was a top producing agent, and he put 0 transactions because he just wanted to hurry up and get through the application. Well, then they wanted to assign him a mentor. So again, then there's more time involved, more people involved, and we got to back that out.
Hi D, I'm sure. It's like, get this done. I want to go to work.
Yep, exactly.
Love it. So we got a couple questions. One of them, interestingly enough, is about Canada. They think Canada is now to the point where it likely has the ability to take off like North America did. So, any thoughts on what you're seeing north of the border?
Yes, and the answer is I would agree. I think they're at the point now. Having lived where we're at, I think that's an advantage that they have, is that they get to come to us who have lived previously before them. So when they come to us and say, "Here's the challenge I'm having," and we go, "Oh, we remember when that happened, and this is what we did." So that's one. I think that's a huge advantage to their favor. Growth wise, you're right. I think it's about to explode. BC has probably seen the most growth than any of the provinces at the moment, but a ton more activity happening in some of our newer provinces. I am on an NDA and I can't state. I'm just going to say that there's what is very likely to be the largest, not size team, not closed units team, but the largest enclosed volume that we've ever had joining a company anywhere, is targeted for an end of the month transition. So
Nice.
things like that are positive signs happening throughout all of Canada as well. And we just recently brought in Courtney Atkinson, and just brought in his big group in BC. So we continue to land again giants in the industries throughout North America.
So I think, obviously the model compels to the small brokerages. You mentioned earlier about the franchisees. I'm just going to circle back to that part,
Sure.
because I think it is part of the conversation. And for the people that don't know, a lot of time a franchisee will sign an agreement for 5 years or 10 years, or whatever that is. So there are some little different maneuvering that has to occur there. So Sam, you're front of the rocket ship. Coach us through it. Walk us through it.
Yeah. So again, the franchise owners, there's probably two different scenarios here. One, they approach you, or if you're wanting to approach the franchise owner. And again, I'll share with you one of my scripts with the franchise owner, and it has truly been the case. If I reached out to you, Joe, and didn't realize you were the franchise owner, I actually come right out and say that. I say, "Hey, Joe, didn't realize, in our conversation, you said you're the broker owner." I said, "Hey, I didn't realize that. My apologies." Then you understand that because you're under a franchise agreement, that tortious interference is part of that agreement, and by no means am I reaching out to interfere. I may follow it up, and I do a brief pause, and I say, unless you're in your final 6 months of your franchise agreement, are you in your free look period? So that's my way of I'm saying I apologize. I'm not stepping on toes. This call is not meant to interfere. But hey, by the way, are you in your free look period? And if not, how much time do you have left? So it's my fact finding moment. And they'll either come out and say, "Yeah, I'm in my final 6 months. I'm exploring options right now," or they might say, "Joe, maybe they did a 10-year agreement. They're like, I've got 5 years left." But again, I'm also going to give them that chance to say, "But tell me more," or I'm interested in hearing more. I'd love to learn more about you guys. At that point, again, trying to CYA cover ourselves as much as possible. Something, even if it's a simple little email from them saying, hey, that they want more information. In those instances, we do become more of a presenter than an attractor. I think the hat moves a little bit. I think it shifts to the side, and I think we do become more of the let me tell you more about the model. But avoiding statements as blatant as Mr. and Mrs. Broker, franchise owner, you should leave Remax, Keller Williams, whatever company, and join EXP. And especially saying, and this is how, and things like that is interference, and tortious interference, tort law is a real thing. It's pretty serious. It does. I don't want to be the downer here on the call. It does have some jail time and fines attached. So it's pretty serious.
I wouldn't say you're being a downer. I think you're just waving caution to people as they make that approach. A lot of realtors are not known for their tact in approach.
That's right.
Some of the reasons they've been able to be successful is they see the wall and they run right through it, regardless of what it is.
Yeah.
But there are bigger implications. So no, I think that's very important and very appropriate to discuss.
We want to make sure we're protecting our agents and protecting the company, because when we one wrong move, and we don't want to put the company at risk either.
Yeah, exactly. And very grateful to watch the stock soar up here in the last couple of weeks.
Definitely.
I was thrilled to be buying a lot of stock early in COVID through the closings I was having, and I was liking where the number was at. But I'm even more excited now because I was able to dump all that into my wheelbarrow, and now it's climbed back up. So we've got just a few minutes left, and this is where I'll turn it over to you, Sam. I know we've kind of been peppering you with conversation. Is there anything that you came onto the call, you said, hey, I want to make sure I cover this? I want to give you that opportunity.
Well, the international expansion was really the main thing, but I think just overall, again, it's, we I'll do a commercial for some of the growth classes, because I had, the class I just came out of right before this session, we had about 100 people in it, and we're scripts. I think there's an importance of knowing what to say and how to say. And none of us, I know some big producers on this call here, even when you're selling real estate, you became scripted at some point somehow, right? And maybe some of it was by accident stumbling into it. But when you, again, if for those taking attraction seriously, and this is your business, part of your livelihood and your retirement plan, knowing what to say and how to say is an important piece. So maybe not so much this group, because you guys are a lot of rock stars on this group. But even your people, there might be somebody new to EXP or new to real estate, sending them to some of the sessions, leaning on us too for some of that support. And that's why our growth team exists. We want to be able to support you and your organizations.
And I think that's absolutely crucial. So last question from me, we're through COVID. How's the company look? We see the stock going up. We hear, more and more agents are coming over. Honest assessment. We had the 1 week where it slowed down. Is it back to normal pace? Is it almost there? What do you see?
It's getting back to normal. And I say normal meaning EXP is kind of always creating a new normal. The beginning of the year, we were having record month after month. We were bringing on about 2,000 agents a month through the first 3 months of the year. We'd never done that before. We'd never even hit 2,000 before. We were on such an uptick prior to COVID that we honestly were starting to target some 3,000 agent months, and then COVID hit. As far as where we're at now, I'm very excited about where we're at. I think, having taken the precautionary steps, because with COVID, nobody knew. It was an unknown. I'm glad to see the markets coming out of this. And again, I know that not all are completely out of it. Seeing the markets opening back up, seeing that in a lot of cases. We also had a record month, if I'm not mistaken, in May, we had a record month in closings. So nice. The number of transactions didn't stop. Yes, I know that there were some deals lost during COVID. Right now, we are on pace to break yet another record for June closings. Never done before. The number is it's huge. It's actually larger than we anticipated looking at June for last month.
We call that pent up demand. Everybody's got money and they got to get it out of their pockets.
Yeah.
We're expecting a lot of people to come to Vegas too with that same philosophy.
I agree. And now as a local, now being a new Las Vegan, is that what they're called?
Sure.
Getting to experience that. And I think, with the Raiders coming to town, I think, and again, I wasn't here before, but having been a spectator from California before, looking at the Las Vegas market, I think Vegas is much more insulated. Every time I know I leave my house, there's a new slab being poured somewhere. So commercial, there's no sign of any slowdown that I see.
Well, one of the things I appreciate most about EXP during the COVID was that I know it's been recorded that there was not one case that was transferred through our corporate world headquarters. COVID free is what EXP went through. And obviously whatever else comes our way, we're set up for that. Sam, I really, really appreciate your time. I know you've got a lot of stuff going on, so it truly is our privilege. Not only will the people who joined us today see it, but the playback that we get from this is probably 2 to 3 times, if not more, on this. And I really, really thank you. And since you're now a Vegas guy, we have to make a point of getting together for break bread and, whatever
Definitely.
drink or, soda or a couple of shots, whatever you do.
Looking forward to it.
All right.
Yeah, it's
For
been
everybody
a
that's out
pleasure.
there,
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Thank
Sam.
you.
Appreciate that.
Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
Thanks.
All right, everybody.
All right.
Thanks,
Go sell
guys.
something.
Guys,
The
great
economy's
job.
counting on you. Thanks, Bill. Thanks, Shelley. Thanks, Craig. Thanks, everybody.
Have a
Hey,
great day.
Jeff.
Awesome
See ya.
stuff,
Thanks, everybody.
Sam. Thanks.